In a layer dated to 67,000 years ago, a scientist brushing away dust uncovered something no larger than a fingernail. At first glance, it was unremarkable, a tiny bone fragment. But under close analysis, the bone revealed its identity, a third metatarsal from a human foot. The size and shape were unusual, but the radiometric dating was clear. It belonged not to modern humans, not to the Negritos, nor to the migrants who settled the islands in later millennia. It came from an ancient human who lived long before any known population reached the Philippines. This small bone would become the key to understanding the mysterious 67,000-year-old inhabitants of Callao Cave. The bones that revealed a new species. Over several excavation seasons, additional fossils surfaced. Archaeologists recovered 7 teeth, several finger bones, and toe bones. Each new discovery deepened the mystery. The teeth were the first major clue. They were unusually small, yet their morphology, shape, thickness, curvatures, cusps, was not identical to modern humans. They resembled traits seen in much older hominins found in Indonesia and China. Though the combination of features was unique, scientists began to realize they were not dealing with simply a population of small modern humans. These bones represented something else, an entirely distinct human species. In 2019, after years of analysis, researchers officially named this species Homo luzonensis, after Luzon Island, where the fossils were found. It was an astonishing moment in the field of paleoanthropology. The Philippines had revealed one of the few new human species identified in the 21st century. Before Homo luzonensis, the last major addition to humanity's evolutionary family tree was Homo floresiensis, the hobbit species discovered in Flores, Indonesia. The small bones of Callao Cave placed the Philippines firmly on the map of ancient human evolution. They showed that the region once hosted not just one or two, but multiple hominin species living at overlapping times across the islands of Southeast Asia. Mysteriously small, but uniquely human, Homo luzonensis possessed a fascinating mixture of anatomical traits. Their hands and feet suggested a surprising ability. They may have been capable of climbing trees with agility, using curved finger bones that echoed features of much older hominin species like Australopithecus, which lived in Africa millions of years earlier. Yet other parts of their bodies reflected more modern characteristics. Their teeth had a combination of primitive and advanced traits, and their foot bone resembled species that lived before Homo erectus spread across the world. It was as if Homo luzonensis preserved ancient evolutionary traits into a period where they should no longer exist. This raises one of the most intriguing questions in Southeast Asian archaeology. Were these humans descendants of an even older hominin group that reached the Philippines long before Homo sapiens evolved? The fossil record of the region supports the possibility. In Kalinga, northern Luzon, butchered rhinoceros bones dating to 700,000 years ago indicate that ancient humans lived in the Philippines incredibly early, though no human bones have yet been found from that period. It is possible that the ancestors of Homo luzonensis may have been related to these ancient tool users. If so, then the Philippines may have hosted hominin populations for hundreds of thousands of years, evolving into unique island species, just as animals do when isolated geographically. How did they reach the Philippines? One of the greatest mysteries is how these 67,000-year-old humans reached Luzon in the first place. The Philippines has always been separated by sea from mainland Asia. Even during the last ice age, when water levels dropped dramatically, the Philippine archipelago was never connected to the continents. That means ancient humans, who possessed no known boats, had to cross open water. humans may have slowly island-hopped across Southeast Asia, reaching Luzon through a series of small, unrecorded crossings. Regardless of how they arrived, the presence of Homo luzonensis proves that ancient humans were capable of extraordinary journeys across the oceans, tens of thousands of years before what was previously believed possible. The environment they lived in. To understand the 67,000-year-old humans of Callao Cave, we must imagine what Luzon looked like during their time. The world was in a glacial period. Vast portions of the earth were icy, but Luzon, located in the tropics, was a lush, thriving ecosystem of forests, rivers, grasslands, and ancient megafauna. Animals such as giant rats, deer, crocodiles, rhinoceros, and large turtles roamed the land. For small-bodied humans like Homo luzonensis, survival required agility, intelligence, and adaptation. They likely lived as hunter-gatherers, using stone tools to cut meat from animals and forage for fruits, roots, and plants. They would have sheltered in caves, built temporary forest dwellings, or followed seasonal migration patterns across the valley. The entrance of Callao Cave overlooked the landscape below, providing a vantage point to observe wildlife and avoid predators. It was an ideal place for habitation, offering both protection and access to the food-rich plains and rivers of the valley. Their place in human evolution. Homo luzonensis adds to the growing evidence that Southeast Asia was a complex crossroads of human evolution. Instead of a linear progression, the region reveals a mosaic of human species. Homo erectus in Java, Indonesia, nearly 1.5 million years ago, Homo floresiensis in Flores, alive around 50,000 years ago, Denisovans, whose DNA survives in modern Filipinos, likely moving through the region modern Homo sapiens, reaching the Philippines at least 30,000 to 45,000 years ago, and now Homo luzonensis, living 67,000 years ago in Luzon. These overlapping timelines show that the islands were not isolated, empty spaces, but rather hubs of ancient human arrival, adaptation, and evolution. The presence of Homo luzonensis raises questions still unanswered. Did they encounter early Homo sapiens? Did they interbreed with other hominin species? When and why did they disappear? Are there more fossils hidden deep in the caves of Luzon? Every excavation season brings the hope that more bones, skulls, limbs, perhaps entire skeletons, will emerge to help complete the picture of these ancient humans. The 67,000-year secret. A narrative reconstruction. Imagine the world of Homo luzonensis. A small group lives near the cave. Their height is shorter than most modern humans, though their exact stature remains unknown. They walk the forest floor with nimble strides, but they climb trees effortlessly, seeking fruits or safe resting places away from predators. At night, the cave becomes a shelter from storms. Firelight flickers against the coral-pink walls of limestone. Children sleep near the elders. The air echoes with faint drip-drops of water from stalactites forming above them. The cave is not only shelter, it is their world, their home, their identity. One evening, a storm sweeps across the valley. The river floods and animals scatter. The group retreats deeper into the cave, climbing over rocks and ledges. In their movement, one individual, perhaps a young adult, injures a foot. Pain slows their steps. Over time, physical exhaustion sets in. They remain behind as the group moves forward into the forest. Inside the cave, life slowly fades. The body rests on the cold stone floor. Darkness envelops it. Earth and sediments accumulate over centuries, shielding the bones from scavengers and time. Stalagmites grow nearby, dripstones forming monuments to their existence. Layer after layer of soil buries the remains until they are forgotten. For 67,000 years, the cave keeps its silence. Then, in the 21st century, a brush touches the earth. Light falls on bone, and humanity discovers that its story is far older, far richer, and far more mysterious than once believed. Scientific significance of the discovery. The discovery of Homo luzonensis is not merely a regional milestone. It is a global scientific breakthrough. The species challenges several long-held assumptions. 1. Island evolution creates unique human forms. Isolation on an island often produces unusual traits: dwarf elephants, giant rodents, miniature deer. Homo luzonensis may represent a human adaptation to island life, much like Homo floresiensis. 2. Early humans were skilled navigators. The ability to reach the Philippines implies unexpectedly advanced survival behavior and mobility. 3. Human diversity was vast before Homo sapiens dominated. We now know the Earth was shared by multiple human species even in periods much later than once assumed. 4. Asia played a major role in human evolution. Previously overshadowed by discoveries in Africa and Europe, Southeast Asia is now recognized as a major region for early human diversity. The search continues. Today, archaeologists continue exploring the caves of Cagayan Valley. Callao Cave itself is far from fully excavated. Only a small percentage of its deeper chambers has been examined. Nearby caves, such as Deer Cave, Cagayan Cave, and others in the Sierra Madre Range, may contain more fossils. Each field season brings the possibility of discovering new bones, perhaps a skull, a pelvis, or even more complete skeletons of Homo luzonensis. Such discoveries would be priceless, offering deeper insight into how they looked, how tall they were, what they ate, and how they lived. The search is slow, often painstaking. Soil must be brushed, grain by grain. Every tiny fragment is analyzed in laboratories using state-of-the-art imaging and dating techniques. But patience is rewarded. In archaeology, persistence uncovers history. As scientists continue to search for more evidence, the story of Homo luzonensis is still being written. Perhaps one day, new fossils will reveal their faces. Perhaps DNA, if ever recovered, will connect them to other human species. Perhaps we will uncover tools, ornaments, or traces of rituals that explain who they were beyond their bones. Until then, we are left with the cave, the fossils, and the profound knowledge that 67,000 years ago, a different kind of human walked the forests of Luzon, climbed its trees, hunted its animals, raised families, and lived in a world both familiar and alien to us.